this Friday. Have a great weekend. It's time now for the closing bell today with Dylan Radigan right here at HQ.
And that's what investors are betting on as stocks look to wrap up another week of gains. In fact, the third consecutive week of triple-digit gains. If we go into a fourth week, that will be a first ever for the U.S. stock market. We're in the home stretch for the afternoon and for the week. The final and most important hour of the trading day has begun. Welcome to the closing bell. I'm Dylan Radigan here at Cnbc World Headquarters. My partner, Maria Bartiromo, off for the day. To the markets we go. Wall Street looking to finish the week on a high note here. As we mentioned, stocks on track to post a third straight weekly gain. In fact, third straight triple-digit gain for the Dow Jones Industrial Average. Also today, oil prices rising on signs of growing U.S. energy demand. Meantime, crude oil also higher today after Norway ordered 2 North Sea platforms that they're operating to shut down. That affects nearly 300,000 barrels of daily production. In part, you see some moderation in the U.S. markets today because of that oil price rise. Defense contractors SAIC making a big splash in its Wall Street debut. The company raising more than $1 billion in an IPO. More on that in just a moment. Also in the final hour today, the orange crush of 2006. Prices at 16-year highs. Expectations that Florida's 06 and 07 crops will be the smallest since 1989. We'll look at why that is and give you a sense of how you might be able to profit from it without buying an orange grove. Plus, one analyst changing his tune on Microsoft in a big way. We're going to get his take and find out why he's cutting his outlook on the software giant. And shop till you drop. Consumers are still feeling good, my friends, and they're still hitting the stores. That coming up here in the first hour of the closing bell. Meantime, let's take a look at the major indices. Dow Jones Industrial Average, a loser to the tune of 13 points, milling around again. If it goes out here, it'll still be the third consecutive week of triple-digit gains because of the rallies that we had over the past 4 days. The NASDAQ very strong yesterday. Tech names have been part of the reason why you've seen so much broadening in this rally, and they are higher again today. 0.3% there in the S&P 500. Splitting the difference and entirely unchanged right now, giving up a midday rally here at 1363. Our team covering the markets for you at the Exchange, out in Chicago, at the NYMEX, along with Bob O'Brien right here at Englewood Cliffs, New Jersey, and our special guests. We begin, however, with Bob Pisani, who's our eye on the floor today. Boy, no, that's not Bob Pisani. That's Melissa. I can see you right there. As habitual, Melissa.
Hey there, Dylan. That's okay. It's Friday. You know, we had the move higher in crude oil prices. We had a tick higher in interest rates. And we also had that headline number on the retail sales number that came in a little bit weaker than expected. And yet still, midday, we did have an attempt at a rally on the stock market. The Dow seemed to turn around, not able to hold on to those gains, but we are seeing gains still on the S&P 500 as well as the NASDAQ. What is moving this market higher? Really, technology stocks. Take a look at all these star technology players in today's session. IBM, in fact, the leader on the Dow at this hour. Intel, Motorola expected to report earnings next week. Hewlett-Packard, news that it's hiring a chief ethics officer. Microsoft saying that there will be no delays in the shipments of Vista, and so we are seeing tech as a sector help this markets in today's session. Meantime, the big factor holding back the Dow shares of Home Depot initiated a Prudential at an underweight rating. Raymond James, meantime, cutting it to an underperform for the year. We should note Home Depot, a loser on the Dow, down by about 9% so far. But take a look at Merck. Nice new record high in Merck today. There was news earlier this morning that it would delay filing for the FDA for an experimental sleeping drug, pushing that out. But it is the promise, the anticipation of approval of a new diabetes drug, Januvia. That is expected to happen today or tomorrow, according to our own pharmaceuticals reporter, Mike Hockman. And that is pushing the stock higher. Again, a new high for shares of Merck. Also, take a look at La-Z-Boy and the impact it is having on the furniture makers, furniture brands, as well as Ethan Allen. La-Z-Boy coming out, slashing its forecast tremendously. It now sees earning only up to 4 cents a share. Analysts have been expecting a profit of 12 cents a share. Big difference there, despite the strength that we saw in furniture sales and the retail sales numbers. We are seeing furniture sellers, furniture makers in today's session a bit to the downside. And take a look at the big debut of the day. SAI here on the New York Stock Exchange. That is a sciences and engineering company. It contracts out to the U.S. government. It is the second biggest IPO on the New York Stock Exchange to date, behind MasterCard. $1.1 billion raised. That is at the top end of the range, and what a debut it was today, Dylan. But again, That attempt at the rally here on the Dow, not quite there. Now let's head back to actually not Dylan, but Bob O'Brien. He's at Global HQ. Hi, Bob.
Hi, thank you very much. Bob Pisani, looking better than ever, Bob. Shares of Red Hat trading to the downside in today's action. This after a report out of Piper Jaffray suggested that Oracle could be readying a new step.
Bond report, Rick Santelli live at the Chicago Mercantile Exchange. Rick.
Well, Dylan, you know, when it comes to the treasuries and interest rates, viewers, think 3 steps forward, 1 step back, because as the 6-month chart of 10-year note rates clearly shows, the 3 steps forward, it was a drop of 3/4 points, a drop of 75 basis points, really since the end of June. The 1 step back, well, we're now coming back. You could see that just in the last week and a half, rates popped up a bit. But even though a 480, 481 10-year may be the highest yield close since the 18th of September, we're still holding on to almost 2/3 of the gains with respect to that drop in rates and some of the economic talk, whether it's the numbers of retail sales being good without energy or the Fed speak, which is going in every direction. So take the middle of the road. All in all, look for the interest rates maybe to be less volatile and the next market to be more volatile. A 6-month chart of the dollar index, it's looking mighty good. We're basically at the top of the range. When you look at the dollar against the yen, it's close to the highest levels since the end of last year. Even cable or the British pound, the euro currency, all are turning close to 3-month lows against the greenback. Watch out, the greenback is back. Now let's go to Sharon Epperson at the NYMEX.
Well, Rick, the shutdown of those Norwegian oil fields was a big reason that oil, gasoline, and heating oil futures were higher today, although they are lower on the week.
All right, thank you very much, Sharon. As we mentioned, stocks on track to post a 3rd straight weekly gain, triple digits for the Dow. All this as investors look to ride the earnings wave on the back of the recent blue chip bull run. Joining us to discuss just that, along with the economy, Mickey Levy, chief economist, Bank of America, and Alan Krall, managing director and portfolio manager at Trevor Stewart Burton and Jacobson. Mickey, is the economy as strong as the stock market's performance would suggest and anticipate?
Yeah, the economy is growing at a healthy pace, and it's just clear the decline in energy prices is providing a boost to real purchasing power. And yes, housing is adjusting down, but it's...
Levy, Alan Krall, thank you, guys. 45 minutes left in the trading week. Dow Jones Industrial Average right now a loser. 9 points comes off the average. It's had a tremendous run. NASDAQ actually higher on the day as we're 60 points off of Dow 12,000. Next week here, it is all about technology. Yahoo, Google, Intel will be in the spotlight. All of them going to bring earnings down. What to expect going into next week. Plus, one analyst explaining why he cut his rating on Microsoft today ahead of all those numbers. Plus, a mixed bag on the retail front. We'll dig deeper into the latest retail sales report for you. And then after the bell, pickups jump-starting a heated battle in the auto industry. Why are the automakers spending big bucks on trucks when sales have been stalling? We'll talk about that. But first, here's a look at the most active names at the exchange. I mentioned the defense company, SAIC. Look at that, top of the most active board, up 3 1/4. We'll get to that story in a minute. GE out with earnings this morning. Stock down 39 cents. Earnings growth up 10%. AT&T in the 2-hole. Nortel and Lucid rounding out the top 5 on a Friday afternoon.
You're watching Closing Bell on CNBC. First in business worldwide.